Today, we summarize, explore term atonement, and apply it to our life. God's work on sinners' behalf to reconcile them to Himself. It expresses the notion of divine forgiveness as the removal or covering over of human guilt and the turning away of God's wrath. In Hebrew, the concept of atonement is expressed with the root KPR, Hebrew alphabet, Kaf, Fe, Resh. From this root comes the verb kapar, to atone. It is the most frequent word for atonement in the Old Testament. Numbers 28, verse 22. Include one male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. The nouns kaporet, masisit. Exodus 25, verse 17. Make an atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide. The nouns kippurim, atonement. Exodus 30, verse 10. Once a year, Aaron shall make atonement on his horns. This annual atonement must be made with the blood of the atoning sin offering for the generations to come. It is most holy to the Lord. Among the Greek terms employed by the Septuagint to express the concept of atonement, 3 significant words are used by the New Testament to refer to this concept. In the Septuagint, kaporet usually is translated as hilasterion, masisit. Kapar occasionally is rendered as hilaskomai, make atonement, and kippurim sometimes is translated as hilasmos, sacrifice of atonement. The New Testament concept of atonement assumes the Old Testament notion of this concept, but the New Testament explicitly elaborates it from a Christological perspective. Christ is the priest who makes atonement. Hilaskomai, Hebrew 2, verse 17. For this reason, he had to be made like them, fully human in every way, in order that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in service to God, and that he might make atonement for the sins of the people. Christ is the means of a place of atonement, hilasterion. Romans 3, verse 25. God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of his blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate his righteousness because in his forbearance he had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. Christ is the sacrifice of atonement, hilasmos. 1 John 4, verse 10. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. In the New Testament, the expiation or divine forgiveness of sins is provided by Christ. Today, we need to think about the expiation and the atonement. Point to ponder. The divine forgiveness of sins is provided by Christ. Verse to remember. This is love. not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. 1 John 4, verse 10. Question to consider. Instead of feeling guilty, are you willing to repent and to turn your eyes on the cross of Jesus?